Friends, I should thank Prakash Bari for having invited me and given this opportunity to meet all of you. I take this opportunity to share some of my experiences, particularly because the gathering here consists of engineers. That is my community. So I'm sure that you will understand the pleasure and the agony, anguish and excitement of a fellow engineer who has gone through some kind of a mill. What I thought, I'll just try to tell you my experience in the field of space, and I'm not sure whether I will be able to cover the whole thing because A, time is going to be limited, and B, it can't be a never-ending speech. But I will always invite your questions on whatever may be in your mind. It can be on the spy case, or it can be on the cryogenic, or it can be on the affordability of India doing space research. It can be anything. So what I will try to do is for the next 20 minutes to half an hour, I'll try to explain, particularly things which are probably not yet printed in the media. I joined ISRO during 1966. To be exact, it was 12th September 1966. And it was a great experience. As you know, every one of you feels fascinated the moment you think that you are, doing something which flies, or when you are flying, or you call it as an aircraft, or you call it as a rocket, whatever it is. So like any other person, I was also very fascinated and happy to join the ISRO group. I joined Dr. Kalam, and he was called as a rocket engineer, and it was shortly known as RED, Red. In the Red group, we were only 5 people to begin with. And totally in the entire Space Research Center, we were 23 people. Now today we have grown to probably 25,000 or 26,000. I don't know the number. We were struggling to do a 3-inch diameter solid rocket, and today we are talking about a mission to Mars and a mission to Moon. So that is the kind of growth we have gone through. When the space research work started, I happened to have the luck of getting so close to Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, who was the pioneer in not only in atomic energy but also in the space research. See, there are 3 successive chairmen, Dr. Sarabhai and Professor Dhawan and Professor U.R. Rao. Now these are the 3 people who matters what ISRO stands today. Dr. Sarabhai, while giving the overall aim and goals and the route, Professor Dhawan spelled out in detail what are the missions we have to undertake and how to go about. And Professor Rao impeccably executed all of that. and remaining is history, and we are living with those assets which these three great sons of India created. And I am one who was lucky enough to be with all these three children. So I have moved with them, I have worked with them, and I have seen how great these people are, as both as a scientist and as a human being. Now those experiences are something which I cherish and enjoy, and I am proud of. Now I'll just try to narrate when I said that we were struggling to make a 3-inch rocket. A 3-inch solid rocket, we will test it. Either the head end will blow up, or the nozzle end will blow up, or the entire chamber will blow up. So it became an inquiry. What has blown up? Head end, nozzle end, or the chamber? We had limitations. We did not have the materials required, particularly the propellant and the high temperature materials, etc. But anyway, Dr. Sarabhai was wise enough and capable enough to bring almost the opposing countries like USA and Russia, France and some of the European countries together, and then started the so-called ISRO, but without the name ISRO, it was known as TERLS, T-E-R-L-S, Tumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station. For that rocket station, the rockets like the Nike Apache was supplied by USA, Minsk computer and the helicopter was supplied by Russia, and then the Centaur rocket plant was supplied by France, and we were trying to play with all those things. And he had the capability of making these countries together, and then he dedicated turns to the international community, meaning anybody can come and test their rockets there. Now, I happen to be again lucky to get into his good books. So I was basically a mechanical engineer, as Mr. Nam was telling, from Tyagarajan College of Engineering. But then I became a specialist on chemical rocket propulsion in the field of combustion instability. There is a theorem by my professor Luigi Crocco. It's called Crocco's theorem of stability. People say it is a bit difficult to understand the theorem. Combustion itself, along with heat transfer, is difficult to understand in a general sense. But I found it interesting. Then I also found that stability is another area where I can contribute. Now in the process, when I was in Princeton, incidentally you should know that Princeton University is one where Professor Einstein was working as a professor. We were 22 students in the aerospace and mechanical sciences with 23,000 acres of land, with 27 professors who were there to guide us. It was a prestigious university, more than 200 years old today. Princeton, Yale, Caltech, MIT, Stanford. These are 5 institutions which they call it as an Ivy League institution. I happened to get admission there. I happened to get an NASA fellowship, and I happened to study the stability. All the 3 made me somewhat noticeable. So that notice also I completed my specialization in a record time. So what happened was, they wanted me to do some more work. But after that also, they couldn't give me the degree because they felt that at least I should complete 1 year. So they gave me an opportunity to go around all the aerospace industries. Aerojet General Corporation, Tycol Chemical Corporation, Rocketdyne, Marshall Space Flight Center, Bell Aero Systems. You think of any American aerospace center, I had gone there. And suddenly they have instructed to show me everything, whatever is normally not shown to the common public. In fact, that gave me a very good idea of how to go about in planning the entire space related work for ISRO. Anyway, to make a long story short, they offered me a citizenship there. It was a president's privileged offer, so I was not supposed to say no. And if I say no, then I have to say in advance. So the only person whom I could consult was Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, who in his own style said, you take the next flight and come as quick as possible. So I returned back to India. To my bad luck, from that date, very short while, Dr. Sarabhai passed away. And then Mr. Dhawan took over. At that time, the entire ISRO was working only on the solid rockets. I hope you understand the difference between a solid rocket and a liquid rocket, but I'll try to tell you in a simple language. Solid rocket uses solid propellant and liquid rocket uses liquid propellant. The propellant generally consists of an oxidizer and a fuel. In a solid system, both are mixed and bonded. In a liquid system, they are kept separate. And one more variation of the liquid system is the cryogenic, which is nothing but liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen. Now, what is the difference between all the three is that the solid has a minimum energy and the liquid has higher energy and the cryogenic has the highest energy. Now, I was one who thought that India should become a space power. The basic question what one raised here as well as in many places is that can we afford space research? Meaning that it is a luxury or it is a waste of money or it is not required. I thought other way around. I thought it is a must and you must do it. So instead of answering that question, the basic question comes because they consider you as a white elephant. You are consuming money, nothing is returned back to this country. What I thought is that we should make use of this technology and make money and then pay back to the country. That is the only way is that you become a space power. Now when I say space power, you attain the capability of launching geosynchronous satellites. Now that would have been possible if you would have got the cryogenic also, because we got the other liquid propulsion and the solid propulsion systems, your PSLV flights, which I have provided the required liquid systems both for the second and the fourth stage. The same thing is used for Chandrayaan, the same thing is used for Mars. And unfortunately we couldn't do the cryogenic. I'll come to that later. Now, just to give you a feel of the problem, if we would have mastered the cryogenic technology, we would be a potential competitor to launch geosynchronous launch vehicles, which would mean that we would take a share of something like $300 to $400 billion worth of business. If you convert it into rupees, it will run into lakhs and lakhs of crores. Which would mean that a small portion of the $300 billion would be sufficient to pay back to the government of India all the expenditure which they have given to ISRO till today for the past 50 years. Then afterwards what comes is a profit. So please understand, we are no more a white elephant if you have the cryogenic technology. So that question of affordability doesn't arise there. Now, of course, the need for the space is something very elaborate. I think I don't want to dwell upon much on that, but I will touch some 2-3 points. Today or 15 years back, even a land telephone is a luxury. And today, you can see nobody without a cell telephone, mobile phone. So connectivity, the communication. Just because you may not have forgotten, in Orissa, there was a recent hit of a cyclone. If the satellites would not have warned you, you would have lost more than 1 lakh of people. So, you think in those lines. These are things which should give you an insight into what are the benefits of. I'm not going into hydrology, I'm not going into fisheries, remote sensing, border security, and then watchdog. All kinds of things are there. The only thing is, it's not probably not properly communicated to the common man, which we would have done it with the cryogenic and the geosynchronous launch vehicles. Anyway, coming back, we felt the need, so we wanted to make a quantum jump. So I deviated from the solid propulsion and we wanted to do something liquid. In the beginning, like the solid, we had a lot of problems. I started with a 600 kg. I went on to a 3-ton. Everywhere problem. You have no material, you have no propellant, you have no facilities, you have no funding. Because there was a fever of the solid systems and you would stand nowhere with your proposals. Then I thought a unique way of a joint development with France. Why small? Think big. Instead of 600 kgs and 3-ton, I thought we will go ahead straight away to 60-ton. I am not going to make a long story, but in a short way, we succeeded on a no cash transfer basis. It was a jointly developed engine. That is the one which is powering your PSLV. And that is the one which will be powering your GSLV also. Now today, with the liquid system, you have a high energy. Then the only one thing which was remaining was the cryogenic. As early as 1975-76, I happened to be a chief guest in an air show in Paris. It was an international air show. I saw one engine displayed by the Russian pavilion. They have put a label under that engine called RD100. So I was casually mentioning to a colleague of mine, a friend of mine, who was accompanying me in that exhibition, stating that this is a bluff, this is not RD100, this is something else which I don't know. Of course, the reason is very simple. RD100 data was available in the public domain, so the cooling passage, as I saw, was not the same. So I felt it is not RD100, but I do not know what is the engine. So there was a chap, a very old fellow, a Russian, who was very much surprised that somebody is making a comment that it is not RD100. So he came to me, asked me, how do you say that it is not RD100? I saw a high intelligence in his face. So I told him that this is why I say that this is not RD100. Then he accepted it. Then he asked me to go for dinner. And in the dinner he was explaining to me the one engine which I saw is called KVD1. Don't bother about the name RD100 and KVD and all confusing, but he pointed out that is one of the best cryogenic engines which the world has ever seen, with the highest energy content, which even the Americans do not even know and they don't even have. So that day, 1974 or 75, I don't know, 1975, that KVD1 got locked to my mind. So when much later, in the year 1991, when we were talking about a cryogenic, with all those space power dream, I, as project director cryogenic, happened to sign off a contract with Russia for KVD1. In other words, that's going to be the best cryogenic engine in the world. See, already we were cheap, already we were reliable, and with the highest energy propellant, which even the Americans do not even know where we will be, you can think of it. Anyway, the whole thing got derailed. Thanks to some of our police and IB personnel. And what was alleged to have been sold by myself to the foreign country during the year 1994. So 19 years have passed. Even today we don't have the cryogenic technology. That itself will tell you how hollow the allegation was. So, in other words, excuse me. In other words, the entire program, which was foreseen by me and supported by 3 consecutive chairmen, could not be executed for reasons which are yet to be proved fully. Those suspicions are there in different quarters, in different levels. Now, as far as I am concerned, the moment I knew that, this is going to be only a dream and this could not further proceed, then my full time was spent only on how to defend yourself, so how to come out of that allegation, rather than working on how to make a cryogenic system, KVD1. But what really bothers me is that but for this allegation or but for this fabricated case, whatever questions which are raised in different quarters, particularly whether we can afford, would not come, because you would be enjoying the fruits of it and you would rather appreciate, oh, that is well planned and that is great. Now, as far as I am concerned, this is in short a portion of my experience with respect to rocket technology. I'm sure that I have not completed it, but I am leaving to the question hours, so that sometimes some questions, in the process of answering that question, we will be able to address the problems more in detail. Now, coming back, specifically I wanted to impress upon you, particularly the alumni of the NSS Engineering College. I am happy. I also attended some of the alumni associations meetings of my own college. It is really a pleasure to meet those old friends and then share those all kinds of things which you can't imagine today, which we were doing years back as youngsters, and then exchange back and forth how bad or how good those days were, but normally they are always good. So I just would request you that this particular thing is very important in the entire ISRO experience. In the entire ISRO experience, what we learned is that what we learned was, what we were lacking was certain aspects of the quality which we have brought in the ISRO culture. So you please understand, ISRO is a global organization. You name a field of specialization, let it be civil, electrical, mechanical, chemical, electronics, instrumentation, control guidance, IT, production technology, you name an engineering specialization, it is there. It is related to some one or more of our job. Now what is important is that if you do not, is a matrix management. You can't expect somebody to be a master of all these specializations. But still there must be a structure by which the management has to be done. And the man who is sitting on the top, suddenly can't expect him to be a master of all the trade. But at the same time, he has to know or assisted, and it should evolve by itself. This is what I call it as a matrix management. This is something which we evolve. And particularly, you will fail miserably if you do not take care of the quality aspect of it. I am sure that some of you must be running industries which are dealing with not only software but also hardwares. And the quality is a very tricky affair. Because nobody likes a quality man. Naturally, because he is a headache. But we devised methods, we named the systems, we named the structure. How, for example, supposing if somebody tells you that when you get up in the morning, you must go and clean your teeth and then take your bath, and then you accept it, then there is no more botheration. The same way, the quality was imposed upon the developing agency. And believe me, that is the one which is paying today. That is the one which is telling you how 25 times you flew successfully. That means I am talking about the PSL. Not even a single flaw. Of course, there was a failure. The failure was noted even before you take off. So the quality aspects, if you pay enough attention, you will be able to certainly succeed in your venture when your projects are coming. Now, just to conclude my talk, what I want to say is that certainly every one of you, I am here, I am not saying that you are all young, there are young, old, medium-aged people, but I am one, or I was one, even at the age of 25, 26, I happened to set a goal to myself that we will try to make India as a space power. And when everybody else was doing the solid propulsion system, I was trying to do something on the liquid propulsion systems. In fact, if I had suffered to a great extent technologically in making the liquid system, I had suffered more in convincing the management about the need for the liquid systems. So this is part of our culture, this is part of our... There are people who told me, where is liquid? Liquid is only in Kaveri. So I am only trying to recall all, and these statements are not made by small people, stalwarts of the space scientists. So what I am trying to say today is that let them make any comment, set your goal, and you proceed systematically. I am sure you will succeed. I only hope that what had happened to me, an accident or otherwise a design or a conspiracy, should not come in your way. If that is not there, then I am reasonably sure you will succeed in your venture. Anybody has any question, you can probably pose that question. You can, I think I have taken 20 minutes or 20 plus